I just finished with the video entitled Light and Darkness, and I did not plan to wake up this morning and make another video, but Yah kept insisting that I go back and take a very close examination of the word separated. So let's go back to the beginning in Genesis where Yah first uses that word, and we find that in Genesis 1 verses 1 through 4. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was chaos and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved over the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. So we see that word separated, and if we go to the Blue Letter Bible, we see the word separated is Strong's H914, and it's pronounced badal, and it means to separate, to divide, to set apart, to make a distinction. So now let's go into the scripture of the Torah and see where all Yah made a separation and a distinction. So let's begin in Exodus 10, verses 20 through 21. But Yah hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites go. Then Yah said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand towards heaven, so that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, a darkness that can be felt." So Moses stretched out his hand toward the sky, and total darkness covered all Egypt for 3 days. And for 3 days no man saw his brother, and no man rose up from his bed for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in all the places where they were. So we see in this scripture that Yah did not use the word separate in this passage, but he did make a separation and a distinction, and he wants us to notice that he did put darkness over Egypt, but light over the children of Israel. Just like he separated the darkness from the light, he's separating the children of Israel from the pagan Egyptians. So let's go to Exodus 33, verses 12 through 14. Then Moses said to Yah, "Look, you have been telling me, 'Lead this people up,' but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, 'I know you by name,' and you have found favor in my sight. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways, so I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people." Yah replied, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Exodus 33, verses 15 through 16. Then Moses said to Yah, "If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. For how would people know that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people? Isn't it that you go with us so that we are separated, I and your people, from all the people who are on the surface of the earth?" So again, just like in Genesis when Yah separated the darkness from the light and he hovered over the surface of the water, now Moses is pointing out that Yah separated over the surface of the earth the Hebrew Israelite, the chosen people, versus the rest of the people on the earth. Deuteronomy 29, verses 18 through 19. Make sure there is no man or woman, clan or tribe among you today whose heart turns away from Yah, our God, to go and worship the gods of those nations. Make sure there is no root among you that produces such bitter poison. When such a person hears the words of this oath and they invoke a blessing on themselves, thinking, "I'll be safe even though I persist in going my own way," they will bring disaster on the watered land as well as the dry. Deuteronomy 29, verses 20 through 21. Yah will never be willing to forgive him. Instead, his anger and jealousy will burn against that man, and every curse written in this book will fall upon him. Yah will blot out his name from under heaven, and Yah will separate him out from all the tribes of Israel for calamity, in accordance with all the curses of the covenant written in this book of the law. So again, we see here that Yah is separating the good from the evil. And if you're wicked and disobedient, he will separate you from among the people of Israel. Leviticus 20, verses 22 through 24. Keep all my decrees and laws and follow them, so that the land where I am bringing you to live may not vomit you out. You must not live according to the customs of the nations I am going to drive out before you. Because they did all these things, I abhorred them. But I said to you, you will possess their land. I will give it to you as an inheritance, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am Yah, your God, who has separated you from the nations. So just as in Egypt, when there was darkness over the Egyptians, but the Hebrew Israelites had light, Yah states here in Leviticus that he separated Israel from the nations, separating the light from the dark, the good from the evil. Deuteronomy 10, verse 8. At that time, Yah separated the tribe of Levi to carry the ark of Yah's promise, to stand in Yah's presence when they serve him as priests, and to praise his name as they still do today. So in Deuteronomy, Yah is pointing out that even from the separated people of Israel, from the separated people, there's even a more separated group, which is the tribe of Levi, who are separated among the children of Israel to do an even more special task. And I actually like to compare this to the Mr. Real Talk channel, where Mr. Real Talk is always saying that we're all one of them ones that have been called out to worship Yah only. But among the one of them ones are those that are one of them ones of them ones. And that would be in reference to the Levites from among the children of Israel. They're one of the ones of the ones. Numbers 8, verses 13 through 14. You are to have the Levites stand before Aaron and his sons, and then present them before Yah as a wave offering. In this way you shall separate the Levites from the rest of the Israelites, and the Levites will belong to me. Leviticus 10, verses 9 through 11. You and your descendants must never drink wine or any other strong drink when you go into the tabernacle. If you do, you will die. This is a permanent law for you, and it must be observed from generation to generation, so as to make a separation between the holy and unholy, and between the clean and unclean. And you are to teach the people of Israel all the statutes that Yah has spoken to them by Moses. I find this scripture very interesting because Yah is pointing out why the separation. It's to separate the holy from unholy and clean from unclean. But not only that, he points out that when you go into the tabernacle, you cannot drink wine. But what did JC tell everyone, and what does everyone in Christianity do when they go into the tabernacle or church? They drink the wine that's representative of JC's blood, which is an abomination to Yah. JC is a pagan idol leading the children of Israel astray. Nehemiah 10, verses 28 through 29. The rest of the people, the priests, the descendants of Levi, the gatekeepers, the singers, the temple servants, and everyone who had separated themselves from the peoples of the surrounding lands for the law of Yah, their wives, their sons, their daughters, and all who had knowledge and understanding, they joined with their brothers, their nobles, and entered into a curse and into an oath to walk in Yah's law, which was given by Moses, the servant of Yah, and to observe and do all the commandments of Yah, our God, and his ordinances and his statutes. So these people chose to separate themselves from the surrounding lands, and they chose to worship Yah only and to keep his law and his commandments. And why? Because they had knowledge and understanding. And this is what is happening today. The children of Israel are waking up and choosing to separate themselves from the surrounding Gentile nations and leave everything and return to Yah only. Isaiah 56, verse 3. Let no foreigner who has joined himself to Yah say, Yah will utterly separate me from his people. And let the eunuch not say, I am but a dry tree. I love this verse because this is explaining that there will be Gentiles or foreigners that choose to worship Yah only, and Yah will accept them. Ezra 6, verse 21. The Passover meal was eaten by the people of Israel who had returned from exile, and by the others in the land who had separated themselves from their corrupt practices of the Gentiles to worship Yah, the God of Israel. So again, also others came, and they all separated themselves from the customs of the Gentiles to worship Yah only. just like what is happening in these end times. And before ending this lesson on being separated, either separating yourself or Yah separating, let's return to Genesis 1 and let's look very closely at the very ending where Yah says he saw that the light was good and God separated the light from the darkness. So if the light was good, that would make the darkness evil. So that's separating good from evil. And what we have learned is Yah clearly indicates that there must be a separation from the clean versus the unclean, the holy versus the unholy, good versus evil. And that is why the light, which is good, and the light representing the Torah and the children of Israel from what is wicked, which is the New Testament that tells you to drink the blood and eat the flesh of a pagan deity, which is Jesus. So the Old Testament is good, the New Testament is evil. Now let's see the warning that Yah gives. If you do not separate good from evil, but if you combine good and evil. And we find that in Genesis 2, verse 17. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die.